Ever felt like your parents' love was conditional or noticed an undercurrent of jealousy in your relationship with them? Well, you might be dealing with a covert narcissistic parent. Now, many of these traits that we're going to talk about, these 9 traits that we're going to talk about and what we're going to go over, match the narcissistic parent. But it's not in the what, but how the how, you like that? But in how these parents exhibit their narcissistic need. Often, this leads to you questioning your worth and sapping your aspirational drive to achieve because you question if you're really worth it. And unlike overt narcissists, covert narcissistic parents use subtle tactics. This could be passive aggression, could be playing the victim, could be withholding affection. And all of this is done to keep control. Well, we're going to dive into the 9 common traits that make you question your reality, all the while, on the outside, it seems like they're just trying to help. So let's get into it. So let's start with passive aggressiveness. Now, covert narcissistic parents don't directly tell you when they're upset. Instead, they make snide comments or give you the cold shoulder. And for example, this could be when you have to cancel dinner plans because of work. They say something like, well, I guess work is more important than family, and they may ignore you for days. It's that penalty for you making the choice, and sometimes for your own benefit or to the benefit of your family, your direct family. This can be really hard, especially when you grow up with it, because then you doubt yourself, and it really feels like that passive aggressiveness cuts really deep. Now, the next one we're going to talk about, this is that victim mentality. And now these parents, they always make themselves out to be the ones who are wrong, even if they're the ones causing the problem, right? They act like everything bad happens to them. For example, right, when you tell them that their criticism hurts your feelings, they might say, after everything that I've done for you, you're treating me like the bad guy, right? And then that makes you second guess it, particularly if you grew up with it, because the way that it's phrased, of course, the guilt and blame and everything falls on you, and they're the one who's being victimized. And it really gets confusing because when you try to assert yourself, then you question it. You kind of back off a little bit, like, well, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings because then I'm the bad guy, and then I make that person the victim, so I'm not really sure what to do. So then it wears away at your sense of self. Now, the next one, this is the woe as me, emotional manipulation. And here they make you feel guilty for wanting to do things that are good for you. This could be like moving away or becoming independent or becoming friends with people that have healthy lifestyles, or even going away to school in some cases. And when you mention moving out to them or getting a job that's far away, they might say, I don't know how I'll survive without you. I'll probably just end up sad and alone and eventually just wither away into nothingness. And again, it's that emotional manipulation, that woe is me. Like what you're doing is just destroying me from the inside because it hurts so much. And that's the covert part of it. So far in these 3, the covert aspect is that it is really that they are embracing that sense of vulnerability and the pain that they experience. And a lot of times we miss that because we expect the grandiose narcissistic type, which is, well, you need to do this and I'm great and I'm this. Your vulnerable covert narcissists don't do that. What they do is they engage in this passive aggressive, woe is me mentality. We've got 6 more to go. A lot of times they'll exhibit this lack of empathy. Even when they seem to care, their concern is usually more about them than you, right? They make your problems about themselves. So you might tell them you're stressed at work, and instead of listening, they say, well, my health is worse, and nobody seems to care about what I'm going through. And again, what happens is it is a refocus on them, their pain, their experience, taking away from you. And over time, that lack of empathy, that lack of understanding your perspective and feeling listened to, you start to internalize that approach, and you start doing it with your friends, you start doing it with others, maybe at work, things like that. So you start to get used to living in that one under experience and environment. You also see that they have this oversensitivity to criticism, and they can't handle being criticized, even a little. So instead of listening, they make you feel guilty for even bringing it up. They might say, so when you ask for more personal space or when you ask for more independence, they might say something like, you're so ungrateful after all I've done to give you a good life, right? So anytime that you ask for something or anytime that you might respond and say, you know what, we need to work on our boundaries. Oh, really? On our boundaries? Well, maybe, if you weren't trying to hurt me all the time, we wouldn't have to, revamp these boundaries. And because you grow up with this, that you internalize this as the norm in many cases, unless you're watching videos like this, you're learning about these maladaptive interaction patterns that encourage shame, doubt, guilt in yourself that drive you to stay in that one under position. And often for the next one is this conditional love. And this is that their love and approval, it depends on whether you do the things the way they want. So if you don't meet their expectations, they withdraw affection or they act like you've changed for the worst, right? For example, right, when you decide to follow a different career path, maybe something that's in your heart or somewhere you always wanted to live, right? Like a new city. And they say, I don't even know who you are anymore, right? And they stop being supportive. They back up because you're not doing what they want you to do. And in their head, you become this random variable that they can't control that makes them feel insecure. So in order to control you, they use conditional love, that I would love you if you did everything that I told you to do exactly the way that I told you to do it. However, they don't always tell you exactly what they want you to do and how they want you to do it. So you have this conditional love episode, which it is that you finally decide, okay, I'm going to move to New York City. Oh my God. New York City. I don't even know who you are. Who are you that you are going to survive and live in New York City? Oh my God. Right? And then you start to question that. And it feeds on your own sense of self-doubt and self-worth. And you see that it builds. Maybe you've experienced that. Another component is jealousy and competitiveness. And instead of celebrating your success, they feel threatened and try to downplay your achievements. You ever had this one? Right? They make it about their own experiences. So for example, let's just say you get a promotion. And instead of congratulating you, they say, well, back in my day, I had an even better job at your age. I even looked better. I had this many boyfriends, girlfriends. I had this many opportunities. I had this, I had that, I had this, and it's this jealousy and competitiveness that undercuts your drive for success. It doesn't fuel your self-esteem and your ambition. Instead, it does the opposite. It sucks it away so that you don't have that sense of confidence in yourself. And over time, it makes almost like a gaping hole for your confidence. And no matter how much you try to fill it, and I see this a lot in therapy and in my clients that we're trying to fill that hole, but as long as they're wedded psychologically to that pattern of jealousy, competitiveness, and all the other factors that we've talked about, conditional love, right? Emotional manipulativeness. So the more that they focus on that, the more that it undercuts that. And what we have to do is we have to go back and look at those patterns, and we have to undo them and redo your history so that then you can recreate a more solid foundation that becomes your springboard to go forward. Easy? No. Possible? Absolutely. But we're not done. We got two more. Now, enmeshment. Now, this is another one. This is where there's a blur between the boundaries of you and them. And this can make you feel like you owe them constant attention. They want to stay overly involved in your life, even as an adult. For example, right, when you start making plans with your friends or for yourself, they may say something like, well, we've done everything together. Why are you leaving me now? Why are you leaving me out? And this creates that sense of like almost tethered to them. And that when you're trying to create some distance so that you can have different experiences, maybe more age-appropriate experiences or ones outside your family or more romantic experiences, sometimes they won't even let you, not directly because it's indirectly, but they don't let you step out to have relationships, to to really sort of encourage those romantic relationships, friendships, because of that enmeshment. And that's because they need you in order for them to feel a sense of control and safety. And the way they go about that is very, very covert, very hidden, very underneath the surface. So then if you ever bring it up, then they're like, well, I mean, your mom or dad, they're just trying to be your friend. Why can't you just let them be your friend? And then you're like, oh my God. Oh my God. You ever heard that one? You ever heard that one? Let's do the last one. Smothering with indirect control. And this is where they act like they're being helpful or concerned, but it's really a way to control you by making you feel guilty or obligated. And this could be like when you're talking about going on a trip or even like studying abroad. Like let's say you have that opportunity. That's really cool. And they say, I just want what's best for you. But if you leave, I don't know how I'll manage without you. I just won't be able to do it. And this is that indirect control, right? They're smothering you to try to keep you here. But it's very indirect. I mean, you can go and do what you want, but I'll probably just wither away to nothing. And it's that sense of control to pull you back in. That sense of sort of hitting that shame, guilt, doubt button that they helped create during your development. And all of these different factors that we talk about, do you see them in your parents? And what's interesting is I want to encourage you to maybe look at your parents, but also look at your partners too. Do they have some of these components? Because often what happens is that we develop within particular environments and we fall into particular patterns and we end up recapitulating or replaying out those same patterns in our romantic relationships and sometimes in friendships too. So I want you to take a look at that. I want you to check on that. Now I'm going to put a video up here about narcissistic parents that you also might like and find interesting. So please leave any comments and thoughts that you might have. And thank you very much for your time. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.